Hey guys, and good morning, and welcome to this episode of Behind the Closed Doors. You see a difference between the previous episodes and this one? I'm using the Lume Cube, and it's on top of my monitor, so it doesn't take any setting up. And I adjusted the white balance in my camera for daylight, and I think it still looks a little bit red, but it's a lot better than yesterday. So what are we going to do today? Yesterday's episode was filled with tips and tricks on Final Cut Pro and printing. Now today we're going to do a photo shoot with Nikki. He sees a new model for us, and this is the so-called test shoot. Now in a test shoot we normally do a 1 hour photo shoot and just see how the model behaves in front of the camera, and of course how creative she can be. And after that I'm going to do the retouching and some other chores, and then tonight between 7 and 10, we have a really cool workshop called Succesvolle Portretten. Now that's Dutch. In English it's called Successful Portraits. And this is a really interesting workshop because, you know, when you have to shoot models, that's easy, right? Because the model knows what she does or he does. And, well, it's very easy to coach your model. If it's a professional model, of course. But even an inexperienced model, she wants to be in front of the camera, so that makes it easy. But how often do you shoot a family or a CEO or somebody else who doesn't want to be in front of the camera? Who goes like, I don't like cameras, go away with that thing. That's a lot of times, right? Especially in a commercial photo shoot. So tonight we're going to do a workshop with a lot of tips on those portraits. And the best thing? The students themselves are in fact the ones that get shot. So they have to shoot each other, and I'm going to shoot them. And we're going to do headshots, standard portraits, and an avatar. So 3 different setups which they can use in their own work. So that's for today. But first, let's wait for our model. And in between I'm going to do some chores because I still have to do some images for the new website for professional imaging. So I'll show you which one we select. Okay, you probably all know this problem. Somebody calls you, hey Frank, can I get some images for a website or for publication or an announcement or whatever? Just give me some of your best shots. And you go like, okay. So you go to your 2016 retouched images, you go into your studio and you see that we now already retouched almost 1000 shots. You go through those shots and you go like, yeah, which one? And that of course takes a lot of time. So what I normally do is if I see a shot that I really like, I will give it a keyword. Now keywording in Lightroom you can do over here. So for example I give it the keyword Slideshow FD. And then I let Lightroom create a so-called smart album. And you can find this in the bottom here. And the smart album, actually called Slideshow FD, includes all the shots that I really like over the years. So this is the first one, and in the end, there are now 1336 shots in there, and of course sometimes I clean it up, and you can see here the shots that we actually took, I believe 2 weeks ago, with Nadine in the Urbex location. So it's a very easy way to get your shots really fast. So now I have to start collecting some images for the new website for professional imaging, and let me see which one I will select, and in a moment I will show you guys. But first I have to do the selection, so I have to turn this one off. Okay, so I'm done with selecting the images for the professional imaging. Now not all these images will be used of course, but it's I think a cool slideshow of what we did the last few months. So this was actually one during our open house workshops in New York with different gels. Just some shots during workshops. Imaging days in Belgium for Sony. This is professional imaging on the live stage. And I was very sick during that show, so amazing to see those shots now, because I hardly remember shooting any of them. And this is also professional imaging. This is during, I believe this was in Dordrecht during an A to Z workshop. This is one of the castle workshops, normal workshop in the studio, motion workshop. This was also workshops. Everything actually is workshops. This was actually shot during the Mastering the Model Shoot Video 3 Creativity, the part with the light blaster. So include a few of those shots as you can see, because then they can choose what they want. If they want a portrait or landscape, blue gels or normal lighting. This was also done with the light blaster. This was done with just the lighting you see here, so no strobes. Same here. Black and white in our, I think, classical workshop. This was done during a cosplay shoot, same here. This was during the UK tour with Nadine. This is all UK tour material. So I love those shots, really nice. This was during a shoot with Ingrid. This is, I think, Danique during alternative light sources workshop and smoke, yes. This was a workshop in tight spaces. This was an older shot from Professional Imaging which I retouched, and again a castle workshop. And this is actually Germany. And this was Santa Cruz and Photoshop World. And this was our tour through Emmeloord, a workshop in which we show that you can shoot images on really normal locations, like in this case a cornfield. This was the smoke and props workshop with Ingrid, same workshop. And this was, I think, the final workshop in the Urbex location with Nadine, yes. So these images will be uploaded, and maybe they will only use 3 or 4, but I always make sure that they get enough to choose from. And just a tip from me, make sure that you only include the best shots you are 100% confident about. Because trust me, if you shoot, let's say 10 images at them, and there's one image that you really, well, you go like, well, maybe that's the one they will choose for the cover, I kid you not. So make sure you only send images you really like. Hey guys, I'm back home, and don't worry, I didn't forget to shoot the test shoot. There was no test shoot. There is absolutely, well, no reason why it shouldn't happen, but the model didn't show up. Now, as you can see, this also happens to me. A lot of guys email me like, Frank, what do you do when a model doesn't show up? Well, I go home and do some chores at home, because we did schedule, of course, the time for the shoot in our agenda. And if a model doesn't show up, it means that I'm actually free for the shoot, which is about 2 hours, and the whole retouching. So that actually means that the rest of the day I'm non-productive, because I already finished all the other work. Now, you might ask, do you give him another chance? No. I'm very sorry, no. Even if it's the best model in the world, there will be no second chances, and I will tell you why. And this is something that some of you guys probably will help in the future. I teach workshops, and for the workshops I'm always looking for models. Now, this model also would do a test shoot for the workshops. Now, a week ago, she actually emailed me like, okay, I have it in my agenda, see you the 31st at 11 o'clock. Now, the workshops are often planned way ahead of that. So in other words, I already know the models for the workshops in December and January, which it's now end of August. If you can't remember an appointment 1 week before, how can you remember a workshop that's 3 months in advance? Nowadays we all have smartphones, we all have digital agendas, we have alarms in our agendas. It's unexcusable to forget an appointment. Very simple. And of course you can forget an appointment, but that means that you're not careful enough. And I need models that are 100% reliable. So for this model, I'm very sorry. No second chances, no second test shoots. This is the end. So for now, I'm going to do some chores at home, which are very boring, so I won't show you that. And tonight, we of course have the Successful Portraits workshop, and I'm going to show you that one without any doubt, because, well, I'm teaching it, and I will be there, and I'm sure the attendants will be there. So, in the next scene, you will actually see the workshop. And for now, I'm going to do something else, but for you guys, that's just a second away. Okay, it's 6:30. PM, of course, walking to the studio for the workshop Succesvolle Portretten. Yep, it's gonna be fun. Hello guys, are you looking forward to the workshop Succesvolle Portretten? Just kidding, of course. There we have Steffi and Anouk. They're already setting up for everything, and it's funny. So enjoy the behind the scenes of Succesvolle Portretten. Okay, I've started up Capture One, and the first thing we always do is make sure that you name your session. This is very important because during the workshop I will be doing some retouching, and if I then later have to rename all the files, the retouched images will have a different name from the originals, and that makes it difficult to find back later. So make sure you always name your session before you start. This also counts for Lightroom, of course, and any other tethering software. Do you always feel that your portraits could be better? Do you feel that you need to take more out of your sitter? This is the workshop for it. And as usual, we're gonna start with a little Q&A. And well, most of all, we will be talking about how to get a little bit more life out of your photo shoot. That's not funny, Frank. Okay, sorry guys, that was not funny. Okay, of course, one of the most important things is that you have constant quality of colors. So Inek is now shooting the color checker. There we go. And now she's ready for the photo shoot.
Thank you.
Okay, so one of the things we let the students do, of course, is play around with the strobe so they can see how shadows fall. And this is actually the kicker light. So make sure that it just fills in a little bit of the shadows. And of course the students shoot each other, because then you can really see how it is to have somebody in front of the camera and experience as a photographer how it is to be shot. And that's something that a lot of photographers don't realize, how difficult it is to be a model. Now after each workshop everybody gets a certificate, so I'm gonna sign these now. And that's the end of the workshop for today. There we go. Okay, after the workshop I always take some portraits, we call avatars, for the students, and those they can use on social media. And this is the ones that I made today. And I always try to include some of the cameras in there. So normally we do some headshots to start, and then we end with some more avatar style. And as you can see, we do them all slightly different, and of course some funky results. And because everybody's different, I have a different style for every photographer. And these are the first again. So it's now, believe it or not, 11:38 p.m. And Anouk, I think it's time for bed, right?
It is. I'm so tired.
Anouk is tired, I'm tired. The camera is tired because it doesn't want to focus anymore. There we go. Okay. So guys, thank you so very much for watching today. And we'll see you again in the next episode of Behind the Closed Doors. Have a good night and enjoy this episode. Well, you already did. Bye bye.